Hi there folks, my name's NovaWing24 and welcome to another little review of a X-Plane product. So we are here today in X-Plane 11 and we are having a look at the recently released product from Orbx Simulations, which of course is their recently released version of Broome International Airport, or Yankee Bravo Romeo Mike. Now first of all, before we get started, I do want to say thank you very much to the team over at Orbx for supplying me with the review copy of this add-on for us to have a look at today. Now, for those who are familiar with Orbx and their some of their products for the other major family of flight simulators, of course, being the ESP platforms, you'll know that they've had Broome available for quite a while for the ESP platforms, and was one of their earliest sort of productions for that platform, especially when they were sort of first starting out. So it's a very popular and been very popular one of theirs for a long time. And again, as I said, a very early product, but definitely showed their mark on the community and what really was possible for ESP platforms and for this budding scenery development company. So, of course, it's fairly appropriate that, of course, this would be there as Orbx continue their explorations into the world of X-Plane and sort of bring some of their product lists over. It's probably appropriate that they brought over one of their first Australian product that they brought over Broome and actually bring it over to X-Plane 11. So we're going to be here having a look at it today. We're going to do our usual format. We're going to go around, we're going to circle through the airport, go a bit of exploration, then we're going to go for a fly around the airport and the surrounding areas that are covered by the scenery package. So I guess we'll get started first off by having a look over here at the terminal area. So we'll just zoom in here through here. And again, as always, I do still apologize. I'm still getting used to the camera system here in X-Plane. It's very different. I must admit, I'm a little spoiled because I do have Chaseplane for the ESP platforms, and I'm kind of used to that. And it's a bit different here in X-Plane, though I do have been told about a camera utility for me to try out. So maybe we'll see that on another episode. But in the meantime, we're going to have a look at here. Now, what I always love here, now, for the people who've been looking at my channel for a while, you know that I love attention to detail. When you actually put in little things that actually bring an airport to life, I really, really appreciate that from both as a developer myself and an artist myself, but also just as somebody who enjoys having their experience actually sort of brought to life, as it were. And this airport is absolutely no exception. The kind of detail that we're getting here is the fact that, we've got someone with a camera taking photos of arrivals. We've got signs that you can relieve, so you can actually read, so letting you know where everything is. So Broome arrivals, for people where they've got to go through. We've got the gates, the gate numberings here, and this kind of actual beautiful detail of the airport itself, and the kind of detail that it's gone to is absolutely insane. We've got people watching as the arrivals come by. This is from actual photos of the terminal building. And a lot of research done by the actual by the developer. The developer's actually, I believe he's spent a bit of time here, or if not actually from this area. So it was a very important project for him. So seeing this sort of these sort of detritus that actually sort of surrounds an airport being done in this beautiful high detailed modeling is always great to see. We've got, again, like we see with a lot of Orbx things, they do things really well with people and how they assemble those. It actually gives you that sense of life for the airport, and this airport is no exception. And again, as I said, it's great to see this attention to detail and these options coming through into the scenery. Now, one thing for those who are, one thing that does unfortunately jar slightly is that it's actually very telling that this is simply a, not, I hate to use the word simply, because moving from one simulation platform to another is not an easy thing at all. There's nothing simple about it. But this right here actually sort of shows that this is a port over from the ESP version. It's not an update. There is no update to the scenery. There is no improvements or changes or anything like that. It is a straight port over. Now, what that means is that we have this beautiful detailed static aircraft here, Fokker 100, of the airline SkyWest. Unfortunately, SkyWest doesn't actually exist anymore. SkyWest, between the release of the original ESP version of this scenery and now, SkyWest have actually changed their name. They've actually dissolved and they've transferred. They've changed, renamed, rebranded themselves as Virgin Australia Regional. So this livery is no longer around. You don't see it anymore. They now have the Virgin Australia tail. So it's a bit of a shame, really, that this part wasn't picked up. Um, Again, it's this beautiful, detailed rendition of the aircraft. Complete. With the air stairs down, and everything you expect to see, and gives you that life to this airport. So I'm not going to deny that. But yeah, as I said, it's sort of telling that this is an older product now and hasn't been updated, which I'm in two minds about. I'm sort of in one mind of the fact that it's the same product. So whether you're buying it for the ESP platforms, they're explaining you're not getting the same product. But it is a bit jarring. It does sort of jar a little bit for me. I'm sure it's nothing huge, but it's just I don't know. As I said, it just jars me a little. But again, as I said, like seeing some of the detail that's actually been modeled here, sort of we've got the sort of the land side side over here, right? We've got the rental cars services are right here. Like this is the kind of insane amount of detail that's been included for here. Like we've got all the we've got the terminal signs, we've got the gates, helicopter transfers. Because that's the thing is that this airport services is one of the busiest, is one of the top 20 in Australia for movements, and is very, very important, not just for tourism, but also for a lot of primary industries, for the oil, coal, and gas industries, because there's a lot of work here offshore as well as onshore as well. So a lot of transfer, a lot of fly-in, fly-out workers come through here as well. Beautiful realisation of the airport buildings, surrounding buildings and car parks as well are all here. Again, in some beautiful high details, baggage lockers for people who are sort of travelling a little bit. And again, one of the publicity shots that the guys at Orbx have used, and I do want to show it this one, is this sort of like pavilion here. So you can actually sort of welcoming you to Broome, and if you are a little bit hungry after you they've even got the Telstra cable crossing sign, like underground cable sign there, like that's cool. And again, the kind of detail that I love to see. And then we've got the complete with the McDonald's ad here, like it's this kind of attention to detail which makes me really, really happy. And in some ways, as I said, I've got a mixed feeling about the fact that we've still got the SkyWest aircraft there, because part of me goes, it's nostalgia, because we see the airplane but not the livery anymore. But again, and a part of me is happy because it means that the ESP version and the X-Plane 11 version are the same. But at the same time, I feel like, it's been a few years since release. Maybe it could have done with an update as well at the time. That would have been pretty cool. Beyond that, though, we still have we've got the apron here with all the gates and all the high textures of the ground markings here, as well as all the airport buildings for this area, including Cobham Aviation and the Customs and Border Protection aircraft that's used for patrols and offshore fishery patrols. We also have the little Grumman. It's not a goose. I can't remember which one this is now, and this is really, really bad because I did research this beforehand, but I forgot this one. But that's from Aeropelican. So they've got a little Grumman amphibian there that does. I know it does a lot of tourist flights throughout the regions and serves a lot of the islands. Complete with the Alliance aircraft there. A friend of mine actually works for them, which is kind of cool. And we've got the ground services equipment over here as well. So a beautifully busy airport, but again, like a lot of things that like a lot of scenery that we see with X-Plane, it's very static, which is it's not something that I can leverage against Orbx. It's something that I sort of leverage against the overall sim. Is that the sim itself is fairly static, which is a bit of a shame, really. And one thing that I feel that the ESP platforms sort of do have an advantage over, at least they have a lot more of a living world. I mean, I know X-Plane has the living trains as well as the road traffic, but in terms of like air traffic and sort of like animated stuff around airports, it's less alive. At least unless you get third-party plugins. So that's something interesting there as well. Now, in terms on the other side as well, the other side of the airport, which is more the GA and operations side, as well as the weather radar and the terminal facilities, sorry, the air traffic control facilities. Again, this is where we see the fact that it is, again, as I said before, beautifully detailed. So this is CHC Helicopters Australia, which manage search and rescue operations, and Bristow as well. These guys manage search and rescue operations for helicopter operations around the sort of northern part of Western Australia, and I believe also CHC are also contracted to the Australian Defence Force, supplying search and rescue services for them as well. So we've got some helicopter pads here that you can come in and use as well. Now beyond that, we also have some more CHC helicopter buildings over here. Now, again, this is where I did notice a couple of things. So since this airport has been released, there was an additional set of hangars have been actually built here as well for CHC, as well as some additional hangars have been built on the western side of the air traffic control tower. Unfortunately, none of those have been represented, none of those included. So again, as I said, the airport itself hasn't been updated. This is a direct port of the airfield from the ESP platform over onto X-Plane. So mixed feelings, as I said, about that one. Now, one of the cool things as well is that Orbx don't make use of just the generic aircraft library that's included with X-Plane. They do actually have customized aircraft for this one, which is true for all of the Orbx sceneries that have been released, and this one is no exception. So we've got some custom bizjets here as well as my personal favorite and most important one for me that I always like to point out, a custom RFDS aircraft as well. So the RFDS Royal Flying Doctor Service provides vital aeromedical services throughout Australia, and I have a very, very strong personal family connection with those. So any chance to show off the RFDS, I always like to do that. So very appreciative to see that one here. Incidentally, folks, it is the 90th anniversary of the RFDS. Their 90th birthday is this year, so incidentally, there you go. But we also have caravans and some other aircraft as well, complete with the hangars. And again, I really like this detail, inside hangars, stuff like this. This is the beautiful attention to detail that really has made Orbx the sort of benchmark when it comes to scenery development, and it's great to see them bringing their skills over into the X-Plane world. And it's a great time to actually explore and look at that kind of stuff that they've got here as well. We've even got a King Air, partially disassembled King Air here as well, which that's really cool and really well done. I like that. I didn't actually see that before when I was doing my sort of precursor researching stuff here, so that's really cool. Anyway, but yes, as I said, we've got all the GA parking over here as well, because it is also a very important GA aircraft, GA airfield. Because one of the things about being in the sort of far northern reaches of Australia is that aviation is aircraft and helicopters are pretty much often the only way to get around, especially in the wet seasons. So yeah, that's something to be aware of. So it is aviation hubs like this are very, very important. And we've got the airport terminal, the air traffic control tower here, and the airport fire services, all beautifully modelled, and some beautiful detail here as well. And as I said before, again, just telling off the newer satellite imagery that it does date the airfield a little bit, because there are some new hangars here as well. So overall, there's a lot of really beautiful attention to detail, and there's sort of revetments here as well. This also brings me into where I have a couple of issues with the airport as well, with the way they've actually done things. Now, as you can tell, there's a lot of GA parking, there's a lot of terminal parking and things like that here as well. And when you actually get to load up and actually load up the sim and actually be able to sort of choose where you want to start your aircraft from, you can choose pretty much anything that you like, with one notable exception. So there are two main helicopter areas, and the airfield itself had a huge update of its airfield facilities and helicopter facilities a few years ago. And some of those and the helicopter facility upgrades are included, at least some of them are included here as well. Unfortunately, you can't actually choose any of the helipads as start locations, and I feel that that's a huge missed opportunity and a real shame. You can see here, we saw the other CHC helicopter pads where all 4 pads were open and nothing was taken up by AI traffic or static aircraft libraries. And here at the primary helipads, that we've got 6 pads, of which 2 are vacant and open, ready to be used. And none of those 6 options are available to be used as starts, which is a huge shame. It really is. I feel like a huge missed opportunity here. Now, in the ESP version, I actually went and had a look at the, because I do also have the ESP version. So I had a look at that, and in the ESP version, they are available. Two of them are available as helicopter starts. So you have one here. It's helipad. I can't remember now. I think it's helipad 6. Is here for this western one, and then the east end of the airfield by the CHC hangars. You've got an option to start at one of those helipads as well. So it is available in the ESP version, but not available in this X-Plane version, which I feel is a huge shame, particularly considering that X-Plane is a very much supported in huge ways by helicopter pilots, by virtual helicopter pilots, simply because it is considered to be one of the best simulation platforms for helicopters. So I feel that Orbx really missed an opportunity here for that one. But otherwise, I mean, otherwise, it's as I said, the detail of the airport itself is beautiful, really, really well done. For a bit of a snapshot, flashback in time for a few years before some of the upgrades of the airfield. But overall, though, it is still a beautiful rendition of Broome International, one of the busy airports as well. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to, now that we've gone through and I've waffled on about that one, and we've had a look at the airfield and some of its surrounding areas and buildings and some of its beautiful detail, what we're going to do is we're going to jump down into a helicopter today, and that's a scary thought for me, getting into a helicopter, but we're going to jump into a helicopter today. We're going to go and have a look, and we're going to fly around not just the airport. We're going to have a look at an aerial view of the airport, but also of some of the surrounding areas that's covered by the photo reel as well. So let's jump into defaults S76 here, and we'll have a look and see what we can find. Alrighty, so here we are in RS-76, so we're going to now just take off. We're going to have as I said, a quick fly around, circuit around the airfield, and we're going to go explore some of the area, because not only is the airport itself covered by the scenery pack, but also the Broome itself, the town of Broome itself, and some of the surrounding areas as well. And it's pretty high detail satellite imagery. So let us depart, and we'll give this a shot. Now, to see if how my helicopter flying skills are going these days. We're not even going to talk about my ability to hover or lack thereof. But yeah, so we'll have a quick sort of tour, as I said, around some of the places that we just talked about. So we've got this beautiful setup of the airport over here. And as I said, it's just frustrating, as I said, the fact that, I can't actually choose to start from one of the heliports here, which is, I feel, a bit of a shame, considering that, this is helicopters and general aviation especially, but helicopters are actually just as important, especially being the home of a search and rescue hub for the area. It's actually, helicopters are a very integral part of aviation in North and Western Australia. They're used for mustering as well, so it's something that's pervasives a lot into Australian life, especially Australian regional life. So I feel that that's a bit of a missed opportunity, I think, somehow there. But anyway. So the first part we're going to head off to is we're heading to slightly west of the airfield, to the area of Cable Beach. So we're going to have a look through it here. Incidentally, a bit of historical facts for everyone. The Cable Beach area, the township of Cable Beach, is where I believe it was the first cable entry point would actually came into Australia when the first time Australia was sort of linked to the rest of the British Empire by undersea cabling. Would actually so it serves as a bit of a historical point through there. With some beachgoers down there on the beach down there, enjoying the late afternoon sun. So you get a whole heap of. You also get, not only do you get the high-res photo reel through here, you also get a set of customized autogen buildings and hand-placed autogen buildings for the area, for buildings that are typical of Northern Australia. It's a lot of sort of open decks, open plan sort of stuff. Very important to sort of let airflow through, because it gets very, very hot in this part of the world. Incidentally, it also has a bit of a military history as well. This Broome. So Broome was actually one of the few parts of northern Australia that was actually attacked during the Second World War. It's suffered at least one air raid by the Japanese during the Second World War, resulting in 22 aircraft being destroyed on the ground there. But otherwise, it served as an RAAF base and a US Air Force, US Army Air Corps base for huge parts of the huge durations of the Second World War. And there's a lot of its history is commemorated in the local museum now as well, including wreckages of some parts of wrecks from some of the aircraft destroyed during the air raid, as well as casing fragments of bombs that were discovered during excavations. Northern Western Australia is known for its not only known for its natural beauty, but also for its natural resources. And we're going to heading over to one of the points just over there shortly, where they've modelled some important stuff. Okay, power off a little bit here and descend a bit lower. So all of this area that we're covering here is covered by the photo reel that is included with the package as well, including this point here and all its custom buildings. So a lot of landmarks for this area are included. Have a look through there. I have to admit, it's very impressive to see the Orbx team actually sort of taking the time to actually sort of place objects in custom locations where they should be, and give us that beautiful rendition of this area. As I said, it is a really beautiful part of the world. And as I was saying, Western Australia and Australia in general, but Western Australia especially, is very important. It is known for exporting, not only for its natural beauty, but also known for various exports of raw materials. And Western Australia is no exception. It includes a very, very busy port here, which exports a lot of liquefied natural gas. And indeed, there are many offshore oil rigs off here, just off the Western Australian coast, which again is why Bristow and CFC do a lot of business, and a lot of fly-in, fly-out workers to support those resource materials and resource gathering operations, both on and offshore. So we've got the detail of the port here as well, which is located just to the north of the town, complete with a container ship docked to the long pier. That forms a very iconic part of the Broome surrounding area, Broome landscape. Unfortunately, however, and this is true of both the ESP version and of the X-Plane version, the platform, the port is not landable, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame. Would have been nice if it was, but unfortunately it's not. Either way, it's still beautifully modelled, complete with as well. If I can get some lower it down, if I can get this lower a bit. Complete with some of the boats that are actually sort of kept on shore here for the pilots and for some of the local yacht club. All detailed and kept here as well, including some hovercraft here that are used for taking tourists out to some of the barrier reefs, the nearby reefs, and diving that is available in this great town as well. As we turn and head back in towards town now, we can see that we'll be coming up on the town of Broome itself. Now the city of Broome, the city of Broome is also been covered in 50cm per pixel resolution as well. Give it a beautiful high definition. A lot of custom buildings have been put in for the township as well. As we fly down the coast a bit back towards the city. water processing reservoirs to the north. So they've gone through and actually sort of hand placed a lot of custom auto, both custom marking, custom objects, including the water towers and the water storage facilities, and matched up autogen and generic buildings to their actual sort of plans on the actual on the town as well. Now, they've also included a range of custom buildings just for the area, including the hospital, which we'll go and have a look at shortly. We've also got the fuel farm just out by the airport, but we've also got things like the communication towers and the sporting centres as well. So there's a range of sports fields here in the town, and these are modelled along with their custom grandstand, which we're just flying over now. And we've also got some shopping that's done here. So the Target Centre, which is over here just by the airport, that's been done in detail as well. See it there, and all of its beautiful Target, Woolworths, and all the big shopping centre there. So moving back into town, as I said, we can see we've got the communications tower there in the centre of town there, and just over on the right with this rather odd coloured roof of the building there, that's actually the base hospital, and the Broome Base Hospital, which this is where the RFDS are often around because it's the largest medical facility in quite a number of kilometres. So it often has to deal with a lot of incidents and injuries from very, very far away. So being able to support people and stuff like that is very, very important. So being close to the airfield, often you'll find hospitals very close to big airports around sort of the remote parts of Australia, simply because that's where everybody needs to get to in a hurry. So there you go. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to come in, and we'll come in for a landing. We'll go through my final thoughts on this one and see if I can make a pig's breakfast of this landing here. We'll see if we can do something on these one of these helipads, shall we? Before I sort of do that final landing, I just want to show off quickly the lighting of the actual add-on as well. So as you can see, the guys over at Orbx have taken pretty much full advantage of the dynamic lighting that comes as standard as part of X-Plane 11, with a beautiful setup of the runway lighting and also the apron lighting as well. Now, interestingly enough, the airfield here is 24 hours, but it's non-radar approaches. So visual approaches are very, very important for this airport. So it is beautifully done with the actual setup of the lighting, and not just of the actual airfield itself. As you can see, as we're flying over sort of the GA parking area, you can see that it's beautiful done with beautiful effects that we've got here. But everything's been included, been done really, really well. We've got the control tower done very nicely as well as looking over at as we can sort of turn back here as I try not to wreck the aircraft while I do this. You can see as well the actual apron as well, the main apron as well has also been done very nicely with various custom lighting done for this as well. So the lighting effect, and it also extends to just the town, the surrounding town as well. As we can see as we go through you can see in the background there all the actual lights heading up the coast, and the lights on the highway on the roads as well. So the lighting is also a beautiful setup as it appears at night as well, and very well done from the guys over at Orbx, that is for sure. Alright, so overall, what are my thoughts? My overall thoughts is that this is, look, Broome's from Orbx has always been a great add-on. It really has. It captures a lot of the Northern Australian experience, and provides a really great and interesting destination for you to head off to, whether you're a GA flyer, a tube liner pilot, or a helicopter pilot. I feel, however, though, that it's just in their ongoing efforts to bring their content over to X-Plane 11, I feel like this one possibly could have done with a bit more attention to the process. The simple fact of, the fact that there's no helicopter or helipad starts, even though they're available and they were in the ESP version, it just feels like a missed opportunity for me. It really does. But the airport itself is beautifully well detailed. The attention to detail has been done in the surrounding area is great and cannot be faulted. So overall, it's got its bugs, it's got its issues, but they're fairly minor. And a lot of the issues that I have, again, with things like the traffic and stuff like that, they're to do with the sim, not to do with Orbix itself. So, as an airport, I think this is a great rendition of the airfield and a great addition to any X-Plane 11 content. I think it is. So, if you're looking for a recommendation for me, I would say that especially if you're a GA or a tube liner pilot, I'd definitely say that this will give you a unique and different place for you to visit. If you're a helicopter pilot, I'd say possibly for you. Bear in mind the frustrations that I said that I've passed on, the annoyances that I have, but otherwise, the detail of the surrounding area might be something that you might be interested in. Maybe some people can look at doing some tweaks with that. Maybe we'll see an update for that. I'm not sure, but there you go. Anyway, so that, as I said, that does round out my review for this one. Now, if you are wanting to pick up your copy of this one, you can pick this one up directly from Orbix Direct. As I said, this has been Broom International for X-Plane 11, also available for the ESP platforms as well. FSX Steam Edition, Prepared 1 through 4, also available from Orbix Direct as a separate purchase. Alright, as we round out this review, once again I want to say thank you very much to the wonderful team over at Orbix for providing me with the review copy of this add-on. And as always, don't forget folks to drop this video a like and throw us a subscribe if you enjoyed these videos and want to see more. And of course, as always, you can catch up with me and all the things I'm up to between videos by finding me on Facebook and on Twitter. Just search NovaWing24. Alright folks, thanks very much for watching. Take care, safe skies to all, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.